Hello Year 7 and welcome along to our next lesson in Python programming, and today we are going to learn one of the fundamental parts of programming in any language, and that is debugging. So debugging is the process of fixing any broken code. So when you write a program, lots of the time it doesn't work first time and you have to do some debugging. It usually means you've made a mistake somewhere in your code so it doesn't run properly. Often it's more than one mistake. So debugging is a really important part of the programming process. And it's something that's pretty normal as well. So don't feel if your program doesn't work first time that you're not a good programmer. It just means there's more work to do. So let's look at where debugging comes from first. So the first computers looked really different to what computers look like today. They were big machines that were big as you and me. You could almost stand inside them. And they had moving parts. They had cogs that would whir around and do calculations. And one of the first computer scientists was a woman called Grace Hopper, and she was working with one of the early computers and it had stopped working, and two of the tiny cogs had become wedged together because a moth had got stuck in between the cogs. So there was a bug in the computer that was stopping it from working, like a real life little moth bug had stopped it working. So Grace removed the moth, and that's where debugging comes from, which is a pretty incredible story. So the bugs in your code all started because a moth flew into a machine. So this was way back in the 1940s on a computer called the Mark II. So it was like the second version of this computer, really early computing stuff. And Grace Hopper is the person we owe the phrase debugging to. She said, "We are debugging the computer," which is pretty incredible that we've carried it forward even to today. So we're going to do, just like Grace, we are going to do some debugging today. So there are basically three steps when it comes to debugging. Step number one, you need to figure out what's gone wrong. So you need to identify the error. Step two, find the bug. So find the bit of code that's causing the error. And step three is fix the bug. If you follow those three steps, you will have absolutely no problem at all. So let's have a look at some examples. So when we're running in Python, in an IDE, like I've got idle on my computer, or we can use an online one that gives us error codes. It's going to give us some information about the bug. Now you'll notice in the last line of my code here it says name error, name prinit is not defined. Now without even seeing my code, you can probably guess what the problem is here. It's saying it doesn't understand the term prinit, and this on our last line is giving us this clue. So let's have a look at the code and see if we can find the code that's causing the error. So we've identified it, it's the word prinit. So let's see if we can find it. Okay, so this is my code, and actually it's a very short bit of programming. It says it was a dark and stormy night, but here's where it says prinit. So we found the problem, now we need to rectify it, we need to change it so it's right. So hopefully you're all going, yep, okay, I know what it is, because prinit isn't the word I'm looking for print. And so you fix the bug and you run it again and see if that has worked. And it would have done in this occasion. So it's that simple. Identify the error, find the code, change it. Okay, here is an example, guys. So here's a program that should ask the user what their favorite cake is and print off a list of cakes including their choices. Simple as that. But it doesn't work. There are some bugs, there are some problems with this code. In fact, there's quite a few problems with this code. I've packed it full of bugs. So what I'm going to challenge you to do today is I'm going to challenge you to debug my program. Okay. Now it's nothing new. We've looked at lists. We've looked at variables. The only thing that you might not have seen is an input before. But I'll give you a clue. There's nothing wrong with the input. So that should work fine. But there's a few bugs in there for you to fix. So step one, bronze. Identify the error in the code. Remember, there's more than one. Find the bug. Fix the bug. That's your silver and gold. Then, the challenge is to program the code to be as efficient as possible. Now, you can actually make this program more efficient. You can remove some of the code and it will still work. I also want to challenge you to develop it by adding more code. So what else can you do with this? What else could you sort the list? We did a bit of that as well, didn't we? Can you take away from the list? Try showing off. Show me what you can do. Okay, our vocab for today is debug, code, program, and Python. Best of luck, everybody, and I'll see you soon.